On stage, they were the perfect harmony, country music's most celebrated duo. Conway Twitty and Loretta Lynn sang about love and heartbreak with a chemistry so real, you couldn't help but believe every single word. For years, a question followed them. Were they more than just partners? Both were married to other people, living separate lives that only seemed to connect under the stage lights. But was that the whole story? Behind the music and the sold-out shows, their bond was one of quiet loyalty and a deep understanding that defied any simple label. Now, decades after Conway Twitty's tragic death, stories of their unique connection are shedding new light on what they shared. One story in particular, about a final, heartbreaking gift, reveals a side of their relationship they could never show the world. This is the story of that gift, the truth it might hold, and why it's a tale that deepens the legend of country music's most iconic pair. Before they were Conway and Loretta, they were just Harold Jenkins and Loretta Webb, two kids forged in the hardships of post-Depression America. They came from the dirt and struggle of the rural South, and their early lives would shape not only their music, but the incredible bond they would one day share. Loretta Webb was a genuine coal miner's daughter, born in a one-room cabin in Butcher Hollow, Kentucky. She was the second of 8 kids in a family so poor, her mom used pages from Sears catalogs for wallpaper. Life in the mountains was tough, but it was always filled with music. The family would huddle around a battery-powered radio, listening to the Grand Ole Opry, and Loretta soaked it all in. Her life took a sharp turn at a pie social when she was just a teenager. She met Oliver Doolittle Lynn, a 21-year-old troublemaker better known as Do. A month later, they were married. Loretta was barely 15. Their marriage was a storm of passion and chaos, and by 20 she had 4 children. Do's drinking and cheating would later fuel some of her most honest songs. He was a hard man, but he was also the one who saw her talent. He bought Loretta her first guitar, a $70 Gibson, and pushed her to sing. Their marriage, as she put it, was one of the beaux. Hardest love stories, but it lasted nearly 50 years. As she famously said, "He never hit me one time that I didn't hit him back twice." Miles away in Friars Point, Mississippi, Harold Lloyd Jenkins had his own dreams. The son of a riverboat pilot, Harold was steeped in music from a young age, learning guitar and absorbing the sounds of gospel from a local black church. By 12, he already had his own radio show. But music wasn't his only talent. He was a gifted baseball player, even scouted by the Philadelphia Phillies. A pro sports career seemed likely, but the U.S. Army drafted him first. While serving in the Far East, he heard Elvis Presley's Mystery Train, and the raw power of rock and roll hooked him. When he came home, he turned down the Phillies to chase music full-time. He knew he needed a killer stage name. Looking at a map, he spotted 2 towns, Conway, Arkansas, and Twitty, Texas, and just like that, Conway Twitty was born. He started out in rock and roll, landing a massive hit in 1958 with It's Only Make Believe. But his heart was always in country. It took him a decade to make the switch, but when he did, he owned the genre. His smooth, romantic style earned him the nickname the High Priest of Country Music. So you had Loretta writing about the raw, painful truths of her life, and Conway crooning ballads of idealized romance. On the surface, they were complete opposites. Little did they know their paths were about to cross, creating a musical partnership that would become the stuff of legend. By the early 1970s, Loretta Lynn was the undisputed queen of country music, a trailblazer whose songs like Fist City shattered expectations of what a woman could sing about. Conway Twitty, after jumping from rock to country, was a certified hitmaker with a voice as smooth as velvet. They were both titans, but they moved in different circles. Their meeting was almost an accident. Legendary producer Owen Bradley, who worked with both of them, was the one who first introduced them. But the idea of them singing together wasn't an immediate home run. In an era of solo stars, their teams thought it was a huge risk. But Conway and Loretta felt an instant connection, a chemistry that was too strong to ignore. Conway had to stand his ground against the doubters. Loretta, in her typical no-nonsense fashion, eventually got tired of the arguments and told everyone they were doing it, and that was that. Now they just needed the right song. In another strange twist, it was Loretta's husband, Dew, who found it, a track called After the Fire. It's gone. The moment they heard it, they knew. Released in 1971, the song was a sensation. It shot to #1 and won them a Grammy Award. After the Fire Is Gone was more than a hit. It was a revelation. The song was about two people reigniting an old flame, and their performance was electric. This wasn't just two great singers at a microphone. It was a story unfolding right in front of you. The way their voices blended, the raw emotion, it felt real. That was just the beginning. They quickly became the most dominant duo in country music history, with hits like Lead Me On and their anthem, Louisiana Woman, Mississippi Man. From 1972 to 1975, they won the CMA's Vocal Duo of the Year award 4 years straight. Their concerts were legendary, not just for the music, but for the incredible way they connected on stage. They'd look at each other when they sang, sharing, a silent conversation that the whole audience could feel. What most people didn't know was that this connection was real. They were both outsiders who had fought their way to the top. Loretta, the girl from the holler whose songs were deemed too controversial, and Conway, the rock and roller many thought would never make it in country. They saw a kindred spirit in each other. As Loretta once said, "People ask if we were ever in love. No, but we loved each other. There's a difference." It was a difference everyone could see, but nobody could quite define. As their fame exploded, so did the whispers. That undeniable chemistry on stage fueled a firestorm of speculation. Were they just acting, or was something more going on behind the curtain? The rumors followed them everywhere. Some whispered about secret rendezvous on the tour bus, while others claimed their spouses were growing uneasy. Publicly, both Conway and Loretta always denied that their relationship was anything but professional. "Everybody thought me and Conway had a thing going," Loretta stated. And that's the farthest from the truth. "I loved Conway as a friend, and my husband loved him." And here's one of the most interesting parts of their story. Their spouses seemed to champion their bond. Lynn, despite his jealousy, genuinely liked Conway and often picked their hit songs. Conway's wife reportedly adored Loretta. This wasn't some sordid affair. It was a deep, affectionate friendship that existed right out in the open, with the blessing of the very people who you'd think would be threatened by it. Still, the public couldn't let it go. Every glance, every touch of the hand during a ballad was seen as proof of a secret love affair. They tried to laugh it off. Loretta would joke, "I've already got a husband to deal with," while Conway would just smile and say they made good music together. But behind the scenes, their friendship was each other's sanctuary from the pressures of fame. When Loretta faced personal tragedies, she turned to Conway for quiet support. When Conway's own life got complicated, Loretta was his confidant. She once called him the only man in my life I could truly count on, a shocking admission from such a fiercely independent woman. Conway, when asked to explain their bond, said simply, "We just get each other." For two people who had built empires from nothing, what they didn't say was often more important than what they did. Staying quiet about the rumors wasn't a denial. It was their way of protecting something precious, something that couldn't be, summed up in a tabloid headline. The foundation of their relationship was built on a set of unwritten rules. Both were fiercely loyal people, and they navigated their powerful chemistry with incredible respect and restraint. They had set clear boundaries, and for more than 2 decades, they never crossed them. Loretta's marriage to Dew was the defining relationship of her life. It was chaotic and painful, but it was her story, and she was committed to it until Du's death in 1996. Conway also had a complicated home life, with marriages strained by his constant touring. When he and Loretta started working together, they were both married. An affair would have been unthinkable. It would have gone against the very core of who they were. So they established boundaries. Loretta once remarked that Conway was the only man besides her husband she ever let put his arm around her in public. It's a simple statement, but it speaks volumes about the careful line they walked. Their love and respect were shown in quiet acts of loyalty. In a business known for rivalries, they were each other's biggest fans. They had a silent promise: protect each other and protect their families, no matter what. What makes their story so powerful isn't what they did. It's what they didn't do. In a world that often encourages impulse, they chose honor. They channeled all of that powerful emotion into their songs. The stage became their safe space, the one place they could express the depth of their connection without consequence. When they sang about temptation and forbidden love, they sang with an honesty that came from a real place, not because they acted on their feelings, but because they resisted them. This unspoken agreement was perhaps the most romantic part of their relationship. June 1993. Nashville was buzzing for its annual Fanfare Festival, and Conway Twitty was scheduled to be there. He was on his tour bus heading back from a show in Branson, Missouri. At only 59 years old, Conway was in good health and wasn't known for hard living, which made what happened next so shocking. Suddenly, Conway collapsed on the bus in excruciating pain. His driver sped to the nearest hospital, Cox South in Springfield, Missouri. Doctors discovered he'd suffered a ruptured abdominal aortic aneurysm, a catastrophic emergency. They rushed him into surgery, but the situation was dire. In a tragic coincidence, Loretta Lynn was already at that very same hospital. Her husband, Du, was in critical condition battling diabetes and heart problems, and Loretta was by his side. She was expecting Conway to visit, but she never imagined he'd be brought in fighting for his own life. Loretta later recalled the nightmare of running back and forth between the rooms of the two most important men in her life, both near death. She would sit with Conway's wife, Dee, and his band, then rush back to check on Du. A hospital chaplain finally told her, "If you want to see Conway, you need to go now." Through tears, she went to his bedside and pleaded with him, "Conway, don't you die on me?" She left to go back to Du's room. Just as she walked through the door, someone delivered the devastating news. Conway was gone. On June 5, 1993, the man the world knew as Conway Twitty died. He was just 59. The news sent a shockwave through country music. But for Loretta, the loss was personal and profound. The public waited for a tribute from her, but it never came. For a woman who built her career on baring her soul, her silence was deafening. She canceled tours and vanished from the public eye, consumed by a grief so deep it couldn't be captured in a song. The music had stopped. The harmony was gone. So why the deep silence? What the public didn't know was that Loretta's grief was wrapped up in the powerful stories and legends that had always surrounded their bond. Over the years, a story began to circulate among those closest to the stars, a piece of lore that felt so true it has become a key part of their mythos. It concerns Conway's final gift to her, not a physical object, but something far more precious, a confession. The story goes that in the time before his death, Conway opened up to his daughter, Kathy, in a way he never had before. He supposedly admitted that he'd spent his life playing a part, the rock and roller, the country star, the ladies' man. But with Loretta, he never had to pretend. She saw the real him, and then, according to this legend, he said the words that have come to be seen as his final hidden gift to Loretta. She was the love I never got to keep. It's a beautiful, heartbreaking, and, importantly, unconfirmed story. There's no official record of this confession, and it's not in any major biography. But whether it was actually said or not, the story persists, because it perfectly captures what millions of fans felt when they saw them together. It speaks to a love defined by restraint, a truth acknowledged from a distance. This legend helps explain the depth of Loretta's mourning and why she stayed so quiet. How could she possibly explain a love so complex? For years, Loretta refused to sing their duets with anyone else. When asked why, she'd just say, "It wouldn't be right." She never replaced him. She was protecting his memory, but she was also protecting their story, a story that was too sacred to be defined by anyone else. This tale, whether fact or folklore, became the key that seemed to unlock the central mystery of their bond, confirming for many what they had sensed all along. If you were touched by the incredible story of Loretta Lynn and Conway Twitty, and you love learning the hidden truths behind country music's greatest legends, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a story. And let us know in the comments, what's your favorite Conway and Loretta duet? The story of Loretta Lynn and Conway Twitty is more than just a tale of a successful musical partnership. It's a testament to a connection that transcended fame, romance, and even time itself. For decades, they presented a puzzle to the world, and the truth was always hiding in plain sight, in the space between the notes and in the silent glances they shared on stage. The legend of Conway's final gift wasn't a scandal, but a validation of what everyone saw. Loretta's decision to retreat from the spotlight was an act of ultimate respect for the man she called her musical soulmate and the unspoken vows they honored. She protected their story because she understood its sanctity. Today, their legacy lives on, not just in their timeless records, but in their own flesh and blood. Their grandchildren, Loretta Lynn and Trey Twitty, now tour together, performing their grandparents' iconic duets for a new generation. When they take the stage, they are carrying the torch of a remarkable and enduring story. Perhaps the reason we're still so fascinated by Conway and Loretta is that they remind us that the most powerful connections don't always need a simple label. Theirs was one of the greatest love stories in country music, a perfect harmony that will echo forever.